What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. In the last episode, we covered Keldeo and the basics of how simple Keldeo is as a Pokemon. However, in this video, we're going to be covering a much more versatile Pokemon. This Pokemon is the prime example of what I like to call the Victini effect. The Victini effect is basically a theory that I've come up with over my many seasons in draft format that as a Pokemon is just starting out and people are just starting to realize how good it is, it's impossible to take down. It's impossible to face, it's impossible to do all this amazing things, but the second one person finds out the counter to it, bam, it's not as threatening, nobody wants it as badly, and it becomes one of those things to where you're like, well, I could draft a Victini, but I'd rather have an Entei to where it could be more versatile and it's something new. And that's what this Pokemon has basically suffered from since Season 2 of the GBA. This Pokemon is Mega Venusaur. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. Mega Venusaur is still really good. Mega Venusaur is one of my favorite Pokemon in the format. But Kelly, Mega Venusaur, calm your tits. I realize. Mega Venusaur is one of my favorite Megas in the format too. And that's for good reasons. It's not a simple Mega to use. In my opinion, it's a very difficult Mega to use. The reason why I say it's a very difficult Mega is because it's one of those Pokemon that if you don't draft a very good wall core, it's instantly thrown into a wall slot and then it's stuck there for the entire season. However, if you look at this thing has base 100 attack, like I'm pretty sure, I don't have the stats up right in front of me, it's like base 120 special attack, 122, 123, something like that, defense stats, and base 80 in HP and base 80 in speed. Those stats are stats for the best bulky offensive Pokemon in the game. While you might be sitting here thinking, but there's better bulky offensive things, like Mega Blastoise hits harder, all this, that, and the other. No. Mega Venusaur has two weaknesses, one of which is not very common in draft format. The one that is not very common is flying. The reason why I say it's not very common, there are a couple key flying types that go floating around in draft format. Those are Talonburb, there are Starapburb, and then there's Tornburb, I and T. And if you are in a large league, say like the NPA, there's 24 teams. Not everybody's going to have really good Spurred Bam, so that means its main weakness is now Psychic types. That's where its problem lies. There are a lot of Pokemon that get Psychic type coverage, and this thing doesn't have the ability to run Black Sludge, to run Berries, to run all this other items that can really help with it, like an Assault Vest or anything like that. And that's where it can really hurt it, that it doesn't have that ability. Because of that, Mega Venusaur is normally thrown into a defensive role. However, if you can draft a really good wall core, like something that has a very good bulky Psychic type, so you can take on Psychic types, if you can draft something like a Registeel or a Regirock or something to take very good flying type attacks along with Keldeo, because these two share the flying and the Psychic weakness, so you will need a wall core that can support both of them very well. This thing can be an insane offensive threat as well as a defensive threat. This thing has everything it needs to be a very good wall. It has Subseed, it has Sleep Powder, it has reliable recovery and synthesis, it has good stabs on both physical and special. Physical not so much because of poison. But it also has really good coverage, so it can be very offensive. It has growth to boost its special attack. It has Swords Dance to boost its physical attack. It gets access to Knockoff, Earthquake, Seed Bomb. It has access to even moves like Outrage. So to look at this Pokemon and say, it's something that sits on the field and never dies because it's an unbreakable wall, no, you are wrong. It is an unbreakable wall because people draft it as a wall. People need to draft this Pokemon specifically as a bulky offensive mon that could also be a wall depending on your opponent's team. If your opponent does not have a very reliable Psychic type or does not have anything that can reliably fire off Brave Birds, then you're set. Also, I just realized I missed one key bird in the format, but not many people drafted, and that's Mega Pidge. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that people don't draft around this thing correctly, and that's where this thing's problem lies. Overall, though, this Mega is amazing. It's not the type of Mega that can just fit on any team. It does have to be drafted around, and that goes with basically any Pokemon in the format if you have been watching this series consistently throughout the weeks. The reason why I say this goes very well with Keldeo is because while they do share the exact same weaknesses, it's very easy to cover them in a wall core, and while Keldeo is weak to electric and grass along with it, Venusaur resists both of those while also not being weak to fire and ice, which Keldeo can resist both of those anyway. They just share the flying and psychic type weakness. So I said that this thing is very difficult to draft around. How do you draft around it? Well, you draft a decent psychic type. And I know that this is going to make me sound like a massive douche. However, Gothitelle is an amazing Pokemon to pair up with these two. Reason being, you can trap in the few things that can take out this Pokemon. Say you are going up against a team that has a Cresselia or a Reuniclus or something of that nature, to where, well, Cresselia is a really bad example because Levitate, but still, like, you know what I'm saying, like a bulky psychic type, you can trap this thing in, you can toxic stall it, you can skill swap magic. I'm pretty sure Goth gets skill swap. I'm gonna actually have to look into that because that's a very, very evil strategy. Yep, it gets skill swap. I'm not as stupid as I think I am. But you can toxic stall them, you can weaken them to the point to where they're not able to stand up against the likes of an offensive bulky Mega Venusaur or a Choice Specs Keldeo or a Calm Mind Keldeo. Another thing that could really come in handy is, I mentioned it in the Keldeo video, but a Regirock, a very good steel type or a very good electric type to help out with the bird spam. I like Zapdos personally, because while Zapdos is weak to rock and ice, Mega Venusaur can take on ice pretty well, and Keldeo can take on ice pretty well, and they can both take on ice pretty well, and they all just round up pretty well, along with the fact that you can also gain momentum with Zapdos with Volt Switch and U-Turn to get in Gothitelle to trap things, and that is the way that I think Mega Venusaur and Keldeo need to be drafted around. One thing to keep in mind about Mega Venusaur, while I am gassing it up to be a lot more than what a lot of people think it is, you have to remember it's all about personal preference in draft format. If you guys think that Mega Charizard X is the absolute best Mega in the format because it can sweep an entire team, that's your opinion. I might think differently than this, and this is my opinion of Mega Venusaur. It's insane, but it's not unstoppable. It's also not the Mega that's going to 6-0 teams. It's just a very good bulky offensive mon that can get chip damage on things or wall a lot of things. But I really like Mega Venusaur as a Pokemon. While I do like it a lot, I'm actually going to give this thing a B+. The reason why I'm giving it a B+ is because of the fact that it is very difficult to build around, the fact that it does get thrown into a defensive role more often than not, and a lot of people will find a lot more success with the defensive role rather than the growth setup sweeper, rather than the Swords Dance setup sweeper, rather than just the sub-seed type of stuff. They're going to find a lot of success in one set, and that's basically where this thing will be forced to stay for a lot of times, because when you draft Mega Venusaur, you're like, oh, you got a really good wall. Not in my opinion, but that's just how the draft format tends to think. But realistically, one final thought to just sum everything up. If you're going to draft Mega Venusaur, don't draft it as a wall. Draft it as an all-around Pokemon that you want to do multiple different things. Kind of like the way you want to draft around a Mew. And that's what Mega Venusaur can do. That's basically my thoughts on Mega Venusaur. I hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from with it, because I know a lot of people think very differently about Mega Venusaur. You either love it or you hate it. There's no really in-between, and I'm kind of sort of sitting in that in-between, leaning more forward to the liking it a lot. But as always, make sure you guys go down to the comment section below and let me know what you guys think of Mega Venusaur. I love hearing your guys' opinions. There was a ton of awesome feedback on the Keldeo video, and I want to thank every single one of you so much for leaving me your opinions. It means the world to me that you guys also like to support this series as much as you do with how much I enjoy making this series. Also, one more time before we leave, I want to give a massive shout out to my boy Kenyo. He is doing an awesome job with the thumbnails on these videos. He's even made next week's already. He's a freaking genius. Thank you so much, Kenyo, for the insane help. I'm going to make sure to leave his Twitter down in the description below. Make sure you guys go and give him a follow. But with all that being said, make sure you guys leave a like and a comment with your opinion. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.